Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs, and we are busier than ever in this new economy, the new reality. There are people working, there are people figuring out how to deal with business today. And, life goes on, government goes on too, and the protection of people and their rights and businesses' rights also go on for those entrepreneurs listening. And because of that, I'm really glad to introduce you to Ben Sigel, candidate for Congress, 4th District of Massachusetts. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeffrey. Good to be back on the show.
Well, Ben, I think everybody in business has been trying to utilize the services of the government more than ever over the last 30 days, with the PPP and all the things that are available. And I think hopefully people are learning that having government have your back is really important. And, you jumped into this race before this crisis. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about maybe your background and why you jumped into this race and then you got yourself into a storm, I bet.
I think it's so much. Thanks for that introduction. I mean, that's the main question is why is someone like me jumping into a race like this? And the main thing was I, probably like you, Jeffrey, am so sick and tired of how divided our country is. We've seen us being divided by race, by income, by where we live, by our abilities, by our loves. And I am someone that believes we are so much stronger when we are together and when we are united than when we are divided. And I have been a bridge builder, a unifier, and a connector for the last 20 years. And I really believe that I could help bring our community together. And this was before COVID-19 pandemic. And so I also believe that the foundation of any strong community is access to opportunities. That's what we're all looking for. Whether you're the wealthiest person in the Massachusetts 4th District or one of the poorest, you want access to high quality, affordable health care, access to high quality education, access to affordable housing, access to quality, energy efficient transportation. You also want to be someone who has access to clean water and clean air and don't want to live in fear or alone. And so I truly believe that was the case, and I believe that we need a leader who's the bridge builder and connector, but a leader who understood what it's like for the majority in the 4th District. And I grew up in Braintree, in a town similar to the 34 cities and towns in the district. It's a blue-collar, middle-class town. I know what that's like, the burdens of being in the middle-class family. I still have significant student debt. My dad oversaw public housing authorities in Taunton and Fall River, auditing them when he worked for HUD for 40 years. I would be, if elected, the first Latino ever elected to Congress from Massachusetts. I'm the president of the Hispanic National Bar Association. And I am someone who's worked on and advanced diversity, equity, and inclusion. And again, this is all before COVID-19. These were the basis of our campaign, We the Fourth. So now we go into COVID-19 and we see that that's even more important now. We really understand that even if one person isn't covered by healthcare, that could put everyone in danger. We're seeing low income communities and communities of color disproportionately affected by COVID-19, but it started before that. There's been pre-existing conditions to disproportionately affect those communities. I'm someone that understands those communities. And so that's why our entire campaign obviously went digital and also moved to social media, but we refocused our campaign. We're not talking about our campaign anymore. We're talking about how do we educate, how do we inform, and how do we support the community, especially the most vulnerable. So we have put together 14 Facebook Live sessions, and you were our guest yesterday and did this amazing job talking about how do you help entrepreneurs, emerging companies, and family business optimize their organizational performance. But we've done Facebook Live sessions on helping families navigate through these financial times, on mental health issues, taking care of yourself and self-help, which you do a very good job of, I learned yesterday, but a lot of people, it's hard. We did a session on how to run a religious institution during this time. Bob Rivers, the CEO of Eastern Bank, talked about banking in small businesses. And I'm really excited, in an hour from right now, at 12 o'clock today, we're doing a session on how to harness the impact of your voice digitally, how to be clear and concise and with clarity and have digitally and in a digital format. These are things people need. And finally, we did one on how to support and protect the most vulnerable in our community. Again, I'm really proud of the campaign that we have launched because I think it shows real leadership, that we're all in this together. We're only as strong as the most vulnerable in our communities. And this is no better time than now to lift everyone up together.
You know, sometimes a crisis helps leaders to bring their voice out to the public in a better way. And I've been tracking you online for a couple of years now, and it's true, you've always been out representing different factions of society, trying to pull together minority groups with different, and on all different elements, probably more than anybody I'm connected to socially. So, I would say almost that this virus has legitimized what you were always doing before and may make your voice that much more credible than before. Are you finding that at all?
I think you're 100% right. And look, we didn't know that. We felt very strong that we were going to run an authentic campaign about all of us together. I really believe that. And now we're seeing it. And what does that mean? So I have worked in the government where I worked at the Democratic Caucus, helping to promote a national Democratic agenda. I worked in the private sector. When I was on your show, I was the National Director of all Client and Community Relations for Mintz Levin, a AmLaw 100 law firm. And I have sat on the boards of over a dozen nonprofits. Why do I bring all that up? Because I believe in order to help get us through COVID-19, and in order to solve the biggest issues of the day, you need the government, you need the private sector, and you need the nonprofit working together. So to have someone that has that experience and that perspective is extremely important. And I think I bring that to the table. But even more importantly, you need someone who can gain the trust and respect on an individual one-on-one level with all the groups. The Portuguese-speaking community in our district, those who are Black and brown, those who are low income, those who are the wealthiest and the most affluent, those in business and those in nonprofit. You need someone that they can trust. They're going to bring us together to solve the biggest issues of the day because we need real lasting change right now.
So let's just talk a little bit about the Ben Sigel, the real Ben Sigel, which I think we're seeing. I told you yesterday that what I find is that I try to find the real core person and get their work to be very consistent with who they are as a person. I would assume, you were appointed to this position in Mintz Levin. It was a first-time position where you were working in the community. When did you start being like this? Are there little child stories where you sort of went out and advocated and worked in certain ways, or was there an experience that happened to you? Because I do think what you're talking about is not a narcissistic politician trying to force themselves into the community. I really feel that whatever, like you or not like you, support you, not support you, this is the real Ben Sigel coming out right now.
I think that's great. I'll give you a few, and some of them are really deep. Look, one of my closest friends committed suicide 2 days before high school, 8th grade. And from that day forward, I truly, truly believe that I have to take a life to its fullest every single day. I personally have come near death several times, and I've had the fortune of helping save one person's life already. And I do believe through those instances that I really think of every day as a new day. Every day I need to live life to its fullest because I don't know when the next day is going to be. And I don't think of that as a negative. I think of it as a charge in my day. And that's why, although I have loved being a lawyer all those years, what put me to sleep at night was actually sitting on my nonprofit boards. Because you do this too, Jeffrey. You're extremely philanthropic, both in terms of your dollars, but in terms of your action and time. We do it because it makes us it's selfish. It makes us feel good to help our community. And I want my community to be better in the future than it is now. I think another piece though, and I'm gonna bring this up, which was, we just celebrated or observed, I should say, Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, this past week. And I had the fortune of visiting several concentration camps in Poland with a Holocaust survivor, Jack Handley, who was from Salonika, Greece. And while I was holding his hand, I remember this image vividly. We were in Majdanek concentration camp, and in Majdanek is a dome with ashes in it of 100,000 people still. You can put your hand in, it's that close. It is scary, it is intense, and there I am holding his hand and him telling me, don't ever forget me, my stories, who you are, where you're from, but more important, that you're gonna make sure that society becomes better in the future and we learn the lessons of the past. You know, it seems cliche to say all that because we hear it a lot, but it's true. I take that to heart tremendously. My goal in life is to make sure people feel connected in a positive way to their own identity, because when they do that, they then are going to feel more connected to their community, and they're going to want to lift up not only themselves, but everyone around them. And that's why I feel our campaign is so authentic at this time, because it's what I've been doing for the last 20 years.
It's a beautiful story, Ben. And, you know, I know that when I was, I have some friends in your old firm, they sort of said to me, you must know Ben Sigel. I know people that you know also outside the firm who said the same thing to me when I was doing my philanthropic work. And they sort of helped me to sort of connect with you. So I do know that you've always had this in your heart. It's a great story, but I also know you haven't stayed focused just on that one narrow function, which I support strongly myself. You sort of see it as an obligation to help all people to live better and raise themselves up. And you've used that one experience to generalize it to all populations. And I give you a lot of credit for that. It's a hard road to hoe to do that. You know, if somebody wants to support you, and I hope they will, or at least check out your website, how can people find you?
Oh, thank you. So look, we can go to the website at bensiegelforcongress.com. And even on that, we have our websites translated into Portuguese and into Spanish. And we have a COVID-19 resource page on that. That's one great place. And then on social media, follow us at Ben Sigel for Congress on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram at Ben Sigel, and on LinkedIn as well. And you'll see our updates. You'll see everything we're doing on the during COVID-19 and our Facebook Live sessions. And right now, we're also still trying to get signatures to be on the ballot on September 1st. So please go to the website or go to any of our social media channels and sign digitally to get us on the ballot.
Great. Ben, we hope that as things progress through this election and through the virus, that you'll come back again and tell us and talk to us about what's going on and how your views and how things are evolving. Would you come back again?
I would love to. I always love coming back and seeing you. It's great, you know, and I just love what you're doing here. It really promotes the entrepreneurs. It allows so many others. We know so many struggle with the same problems. Entrepreneurs struggle with the same problems. And to learn from each other in order to not make the same mistakes and move forward is huge. So thanks for giving us, me and everyone else out there, this opportunity.
Well, I think we're both doing the same thing. We're trying to help people to come together today versus coming apart. It's the key to surviving and coming out of this strong. So thank you, Ben Sigel. Good luck with your election. And we look forward to talking to you again on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Jeffrey.